Good morning, my Real News Midday TV family. Thank you so much for tuning in this morning, and I'm wishing for everyone a wonderful and a productive day. And in the news this morning for January 22, 2023, Trelawny man killed after his car overturned on the Hanover road. The Trelawny police have recorded the first road fatality since the start of the year, when a man died as a result of injuries he sustained when the motor car he was driving overturned in the parish Saturday evening. The deceased has been identified as a 39-year-old Andrew Brown, a truck driver of a Falmouth Trelawny address. According to the Corporate Communications Unit, Brown was driving a Toyota motor vehicle along the Hanover road in Trelawny about 6 p.m. when he lost the control of the vehicle, which overturned and ran over a ditch. Brown sustained multiple injuries and died on the spot. The Falmouth police are investigating. The Trelawny Police Division recorded 21 road fatalities in 2023. Hanover man charged following 2023 shooting. A 26-year-old man from Hanover was slapped with several charges after a man was shot in Brissett District, Lucy in the parish, on Sunday, October 29. He is Stephen Blake, otherwise called the Braff, a laborer of Macquarie District, Hopewell. Blake was charged with wounding with intent, shooting with intent, unauthorized possession of a prohibited weapon, possession of ammunition, and using a firearm to commit a felony. Reports from the Lucy police are that about 9:05 p.m., a man was driving his motor car along the roadway when a white Toyota Axia drove up, and a man opened gunfire at him. When the shooting subsided, the man was seen suffering from gunshot wounds. He was assisted to the hospital where he was treated. On Friday, January 19, Blake was arrested and subsequently charged after a question and answer session in the presence of his attorney. His court date is being finalized. Police fed want a commission and the ministry officials committed to prison. The Jamaica Police Federation has filed an application in the Supreme Court to have Police Commissioner Major General Anthony Anderson, Financial Secretary Darlene Morrison, and Ambassador Alison Stone Roof, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of National Security, jailed for alleged contempt of court. In the application, the Federation argues that members of the force continue to work overtime without a compensation. The application was filed last Wednesday by Federation Chairman Corporal Rohan James and Detective Constable Nigel Murphy on behalf of the Federation and Corporal Doris Stewart. At 4 pages long, the document, which was seen by the news, asked the court to commit to prison Morrison and Stone Roof as the responsible officers for the Ministry of Finance and the Ministry of National Security, respectively, and Anderson. Attorney General Dr. Derek McCoy is listed as the fourth defendant. The body is seeking orders from the court that include a declaration that the defendants are in contempt of court for the aforementioned three to be sent to prison, cost to the claimant to be taxed if not agreed, and any other relief the court deems fit. The Federation said the application was made pursuant to Rules 1.1, 53.1a, and 53.7, and 5.37 of the Civil Procedure Rules 2002. Rule 53.1a provides that the court has the power to commit a person to prison for failure to comply with an order requiring that the person do an act within or by specific time or not to do an act. The Federation said that on June 3, 2022, the full court comprising Justice David Batts, Tara Carr, and Justice Crescentia Brown Beckford ordered that the heads of agreement between the Federation and the Ministries of National Security and Finance on September 11 were binding on the government. The police union noted that the court declared that the agreement created a legitimate expectation among members of the Jamaica Constabulary Force. Further, the Federation said the court ordered that on or before March 31, 2023, the defendants put in place a system that is in accordance with the terms agreed in the heads of agreement to capture the actual hours worked by rank and file members of the force in excess of 40 hours per week, and that the said members be thereafter remunerated accordingly for such excess hours. Costs were also awarded to the claimants against the defendant, the Federation said. It said that 2 letters were sent via its attorney dated August 25, 2023 and September 1, 2023 to the defendants, urging them to comply with the order of the court, and that as claimant, it intended to pursue enforcement proceedings, including contempt of court, if they failed to comply with the orders of the full court. The defendants have failed to comply with the orders of the full court in that they have failed to put in place a system that will capture the actual hours worked by members of the Jamaica Constabulary Force in excess of 40 hours per week, and the members are not being compensated for excess hours, the application filed stated. The Federation said the conduct of the defendants was deliberate and designed to obstruct the just disposal of the proceedings. It is in keeping with the overriding objective that the order sought herein be granted, the court document said. The government was in June 2022 given a March 2023 deadline to implement a proper software system to efficiently capture and calculate overtime hours for members of the Jamaica Constabulary Force. The Federation filed a lawsuit in 2019 against the 2 ministries, Anderson and McCoy, seeking damages and several declarations, including whether the heads of agreement between the Federation and the government was binding and whether the police were entitled to constitutional relief. The court ruled that the 5 heads of agreements signed by the Federation and the Finance and the National Security Ministries between 2008 and 2019 were binding and created a legitimate expectation among members of the police force. Port Antonio Mayor defends mental competence after confusing response to question on radio show. Embattled Port Antonio Mayor Paul Thompson is pushing back against the claims questioning his mental competence following an admittedly confusing performance on a radio talk show last week. Speaking with the news yesterday, the mayor, facing pressure, notably on several social media platforms, conceded that he blundered in his response to a question about equity in relation to how finances are distributed between Jamaica Labour Party councillors and their People's National Party counterparts. He said his error came when he was seemingly at pains to explain the distribution ratio of 2-to-1 in favor of the opposition councillors. Thompson, who became mayor of Port Antonio in 2016, after the JLP trounced the PNP in the local government elections of that year, winning 7 of the 9 municipal corporation seats in Portland, formerly a parish council, has come under increasing pressure from bloggers, social media enthusiasts, critics, and other detractors for his woeful explanation regarding equity. However, according to Thompson, who sought to explain the reason for his blunder, the loss of one of his chief party workers, coupled with grieving and being mentally distraught, was the mitigating factor that may have crippled his concentration. It was really a bad day for me, and I was just coming from a grave digging when my phone rang, Thompson told the news yesterday. One of my closely knitted friend and a party worker had passed away, and we were coming from his grave digging, which was a sad moment for me. I admit that I blundered badly, but only because of the mental stress that I was undergoing. I was seeking to explain to the host that the pattern that I was following was one that had been implemented by Wayne Mackenzie of the PNP, who was my predecessor. Finances were being shared into the ratio of 2-to-1, so when I became mayor, I simply adopted that principle. I was wrong in trying to explain the percentage of sharing, and I really messed up there. But I was unable to adequately explain to the host, and I just wasn't focusing. This is just an isolated incident, and my mental competence should not be judged on that basis. What I was trying to say was that if the PNP got $100, the JLP would get $50, and that was a pattern that I followed, Thompson concluded. Thompson has had several distinguished professions, including that of a pre-trained teacher, a policeman for 9 years, a trained registered general nurse at the University Hospital of the West Indies, a phlebotomist, medical manager at Heart Foundation, in charge of the medical department for 12 years, and a now counselor. In the meantime, minority leader at the Portland Municipal Corporation, Dexter Rowland, who spoke with the news via telephone, has dismissed any notion that Thompson lacks intelligence, and has come out in defense while stating that there is no way that Thompson should be labeled a dunce. I have always maintained that he engages in political victimization. However, he's an honest man, kind-hearted and a friendly individual, said Rowland. Everybody makes mistakes, and I believe that something was definitely wrong on that day. He's above average as it relates to being intelligent, but in practice political victimization, and that is the problem that I have always mentioned. His mental capacity is there, and that should not be questioned as he handles himself well at meetings and other public functions, Rowland added.
Audio Jungle.